Welcome to another edition of Monday Madness. I'm your very well known, recognizable host. Originally, was going to happen this morning is I was going to go to Starbucks as I normally do for Wi Fi at this point. And for the first time since I started streaming from over there, I was going to actually get something. But, uh, and I even looked on the menu when I last night, kind of in preparation to come up here and just know what I want and get it and then pull over somewhere and start streaming. And you would see me sipping on my tasty drink that was so great and terrific and totally worth the oftentimes ridiculous prices that these retailers have. But instead, uh, I went up here. I saw a line that constantly has must be 6 or 7 cars in it. And I calculated that it would just take that the amount of time it takes to get that drink, just for it to be like a little gag on my stream, isn't even worth it. And then there were people sitting up in the front. Generally speaking, whenever there's a line that I think is too long in the drive-through, I try to go to the inside or like the outside part to order there. But it doesn't really seem as if there's much of a difference here as far as there's people that are standing outside for that too. So maybe I'll get something when I leave, but I don't know. I always like to sometimes do different things if it's the same thing over and over and over again. And that was actually one of the things I was looking forward to today, actually getting something from the place I go to all the time but don't actually shop at. Because they do have some stuff that looks like it might be to my interest. So maybe before I leave, I'll get in the drive-through and sit there for 30 minutes and pull out a book or something. That's always one of my favorite jokes. That some of these lines are so long you could read a novel, like a whole chapter of a novel, just while waiting for the cars to pull up and for them to take your order and whatnot. Yeah, I have an interview tomorrow with this one place. I mentioned it last Saturday. Like I said, I'm really not expecting much to come out of it because we've been down this road before. But I do think it's really weird that these jobs are so, what's the way of putting it? They have these people that call you for an interview, and instead of just interviewing you at that time or whatever, they'll schedule the interview you like a whole week later or half a week later or some other amount of time. Got called by a random number, and it was a spam risk, so I don't even care. That's the worst part about that job search, that there's so many different random numbers that will call you and be like, "Hey, is this such and such?" And you're like, "Yes." Like, "Oh, we saw your application and we wanted to ask you some questions," or "We saw your application, we wanted to see this." I'll tell you, the worst call still was when I got the like with every caregiver job, they always ask you, "Have you done this before?" It doesn't have to be a formal experience because I always say it's not formal. I haven't received any actual training for this, but I'm familiar with helping an ailing person with cleaning and just various other parts of that. And every place would always say, "Hey, that's all right. You have some familiarity with this. You know what we're talking about." Instead of this one place doing what is customary of each place to do, which is to say, okay, you may not have formal experience, but you've done this before, so it counts. This woman's like, with a little stupid voice, only two, you need to at least 2 years for the position. You need at least 2 paid years. When I heard that crap, I hung up right in her face. And I'm not even the kind of person that normally does that, where I just get angry and like, all right, forget this. But that really pissed me off because everywhere else is fine with my experience, or I guess according to her, lack thereof, except that place. They want to tell you about you need to have specific accreditation or crediting with the various some goofy stuff. I just That's why I said these places are run by some madmen. And it's a dreary looking day. It's 10 in the morning, but the sun is completely covered in clouds. You can kind of see a little bit of my background. It's I'll never not be amazed by how the sun will come out sometimes. It'll just look so beautiful and, uplifting as far as the weather is concerned. And then the next day or a day later, or a few hours later, it just all goes to gray. These comments are ri- are my circus monkey. I could picture her on the unicycle too. And I noticed every time I go to Starbucks, the line is always long. Like I've actually, um, the spot I parked in today is not the one I usually park in. The one I usually park in is like off to my right hand side, and it's right next to where the line will sometimes end up going if it's too many people or if it's a lot of people that show up. So that means the line typically will end up being longer, will be so long that you can't even, what you call it, like it's hard to back out sometimes because you have to like hope that people don't show up or that they like let you out, and I hate that so much. That's my biggest gripe about leaving from here. This lady showed up and she has some nice long hair, nice brunette. And I always like seeing the different people and just, that come up here, and sometimes they're on their phones, sometimes they're talking to each other. Just there's all type of little personalities that you get in these little segments. But yeah, I'm not even sweating it. I'm just kind of looking at some of this stuff right here. Yeah, I might try to get something when I leave, because when I leave, there's not really going to be much for me to do today besides go to the market, and I can do that at any given point. I just hate how long that line is. It's enormous. Not so much right now, which kind of makes me wish I had gone in there because I don't think a line can be long 24/7. But I'm not gonna bother with it. I am noticing it seems like there's a car that's been parked in the spot that's not a parking spot for a while now. Maybe that's what's causing people to not show up. Where they have like one customer where they're arguing with them or they're messing up their order or they're trying to like, they call themselves fighting people about like what stuff is right or not. I think that might be the reason. But I don't know. I just always like trying different stuff. Um, Sometimes from places I go to, and it's so funny how when I came up here, oh, it's a dress. That's what it was. Okay. I was wondering what that lady's outfit was. But yeah, I was if anytime I come up here, I'm always just kind of tempted to see what is so appealing about this stuff to people. It doesn't mean I'm gonna try and attempt every drink because I know there's stuff I don't like, but sometimes I'll see something and it doesn't look bad, so I'll just be like, all right, I guess I can attempt to get this or try this. Yeah, these places have a lot of traffic and people that show up and do little stuff there. Oh man, I'm just thinking about some of the stuff that happens over here and how sad it is. Like you have the person who says, "Oh, I care so much about you," and then if you do one thing they don't like, they'll be the first one to throw you out or you know have no regard for whether you're all right or not. Just there's a lot of statements that people make that are not aligned with their actions. I'll put it that way. And it seems like really rarely do you ever get to call these people out, because what ends up happening is they'll engage in some back and forth uh, conversation, which really is just them screaming at you or talking over you, where you can't even refute what they're saying because there's like they're not even giving you. That's why I said that, like, with some of these people, I almost feel tempted to just send them a video that's the equivalent of like a like a reason you suck speech or something, where it's just you sitting there talking about why they're not a good, you know, relative person, etc. They're why they're just trash. Uh, and I feel a lot more comfortable doing that because then they can't speak over. You can make all your points. What I'm dealing with is let's not start talking about them. Because they'll come over and be like, he spoke so disparagingly of his people. Like, I'm not even talking about them. Like, I'm literally not even talking about them. Somebody else wrote a comment. It wasn't even me who mentioned them at all. I'm trying to figure out what the deal is with over there. There's a car parked, and then somebody else came out. This is really weird. Before if I try to get something from here, I'm definitely going to investigate because I don't want to end up getting trapped in the. Okay, now more people are showing up. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna look to see what the deal is because they're not gonna have me boxed in. Yeah, there's a lot of these. There's some strange sightings that I see. Okay, now it's gone. Good. They finally departed. I guess that space must be really wide because I thought they were blocking people in, but somebody drove on the side of it. It's one of those things where if you're looking at something from a certain angle, it doesn't look as big as it is, or whatever. Mm. But yeah, I got up. I decided to come out here early and well, a little bit earlier than usual to try to start the stream a little bit earlier than usual. And let's see, they consider any type of criticism. Well, I mean, it's just one of those things where a lot of people before you have tried to critique them, and they get called all types of names, and even had people threaten them over simply saying something they don't like. So that's why, for the most part, I really don't even bother directly addressing them anymore. Like I said, people get more offended by something someone says than something someone does. So if within in their community, if their neighbor gets shot thanks to one of all these different guns that's lying around, and then I do a video and I'm like, hey, the person that was blasted shouldn't have been, outside at this late hour of the night, and whatever, getting into this conflict, they'll get more upset with me for saying this person should not have been out there than the person who actually, you know, killed them. So it's just that's why I said I don't really see a purpose in addressing them anymore. It just feels like I'm talking to a brick wall at this point. Like with a lot of these people, I really just think you'd be better off not even attempting. I really hate saying that, but it's hard to, not feel like it's all for naught or for nothing rather. They're really good at trying to make you the bad guy if you say something they don't like. I think a lot of people do that because we've seen this as well with a lot of the pushback on my commentary on a certain group where you'll see more people upset with me for saying something about them that's critical than you will, men that actually like put their hands on them and do other violent acts. But in general, I think a lot of people just have warped priorities. Like, I'm not even kidding when I say that. 3 drinks. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go inside. I'm not, or go in the drive-through. Oh, it seems to be moving faster than outside does. They suddenly care about the until they hear about an experience that doesn't live with their bases. Like I said, there it's I'm not interested in all the homogenized things that happen. Like, I don't think anyone should be disqualified from being their ethnicity because they didn't grow up over here or they don't like this particular thing. Because I've defended a lot of black conservatives where I say, hey, I don't agree with their approach, but I don't think they're lesser of you know African Americans than I am simply because they like the GOP or like Republicans or whatever. It's just that's what I said, man. It's just so frustrating because you look at Caucasians and they're allowed to have distinct, different, unique identities. Someone who's Caucasian that's poor is not going to be told that they're not as white as someone who's rich. Um, and there's Caucasians make up, majorities in both major political parties. They're allowed to be distinct from each other and really have these unique qualities that toward it's like their race is almost like a secondhand part of their identity. It's not even something that really gets factored into the distinguishment that they have as individuals. When you're talking about us, it's all fitting into boxes, and I really hate that. I despise it, and I've tried to avoid certain stereotypes, and there's certain things I don't think people should be proud of. Like, I know a lot of people who've had children out of wedlock. I really hate that statistic. That's why I tried as hard as I could to, in the event I was successful getting a partner, get married and have a kid after that. But my point is, I just don't want to contribute to a lot of these statistics that I think are not good. Mm. So it's just really sad that we don't have the same, anywhere near the same level of individuality and expression that other groups seem to have. Really, really sad. By the way, Akatsuki merchant, you ever notice that sometimes there'll be some woman somewhere and then she'll just like decide to wrap her hair up in a ponytail or in a bun or something, like just out of nowhere? Because I just saw that right now. I was I don't know, I just think that's kind of that's just like a thing I've noticed where sometimes they'll have like like so little to do. like just nothing to do that they'll just start playing with their hair. And it's really for no reason because it's like a lot of people when they put their hair up in some kind of, bun or you know, top knotting or whatever, usually it's in some professional setting where they want to look a certain way. But I mean, you're out here in your pajamas. So there's not like there's anybody you're trying to impress. That's why I said people do some weird stuff, man. They're all over the place. I'm just saying that's a thing I've noticed where they'll just be standing somewhere and all of a sudden start playing with their hair and like putting it in a bun or some other like formation. And now she's done that, she's got her hands in her pockets. So I said you can tell a lot of people just have nothing to do. Because even when I go somewhere, if I'm standing in a line, I'll look at my phone. You know, I do something. I don't just sit there just blankly. I mean, even here as I'm sitting, I'm still attempting to have a conversation. We're still, it's this is still content. So it's not. I don't know. I don't get these people, but whatever. That's one of the reasons when I was a kid, I always hated and I didn't get detention very often, but I always remember just feel like sitting there, just like we're really supposed to just sit here and not do anything for 30 minutes, an hour. I mean, that's crazy. The entire time I was in high school, I had detention 2 times. Uh, because I really just hated just sitting there. Like literally ever since I was a kid, I hated just sitting in place, like not doing anything. It's just I always, felt it's not just about being bored. It's like there's so much stuff that a person can do. So anytime you're just sitting there staring blankly, I don't know. I just feel like it's a waste. Because yesterday I got in the car and I wrote most of the script for that triangle scam video. I didn't record it because I was having a hard time with the final paragraph, the closing statement. But even then, it's like that still is me sitting there and actually doing something. Like that's still material, and even if it only gets like 50 or 100 views, it still is something I made and took the time to, you know, actually put some thought into. And I remember when I was first like getting into just going places and like ordering a drink, I always thought it would be weird to order two of a drink, like unless it's for someone else. But there actually are people who order. Sometimes when I come from here, I'm not even joking. I'll see one person walking out with a tray full of drinks, and there's nobody with them. And like well, I don't want to talk about the way people look, but there's a certain other characteristic that you can kind of ascertain. Basically, I just realized that it's like a really normal thing for people to just get multiple drinks for themselves. Now, of course, I wouldn't do that at this point because I don't know if I like the taste, of any of the stuff yet because I haven't had any of it. But uh, at some later point, maybe. I don't know. It depends. Some people do it because they're having a physical task and don't want their hair to possibly get tangled or caught in something. Oh yeah, I understand that as a reason, but I'm saying that if a person is just standing around waiting for something and they're not lifting anything, they're not, anything heavy anyway. I just think there's no reason to do it other than you're just bored and you want to play with something for a while, including your own hair. Because the lady that did that, who actually just walked past me, she doesn't have anything heavy in her hand, and like I said, sometimes in formal settings, I know that women like to put their hair up, but she She was in her pajama. She had her hoodie on, her I guess sweatpants. So I mean, you know what I'm talking about. Just like this isn't even the setting where that would matter. I don't even care about looks at this point. A whole tray of drinks to yourself is gluttony. Well, with me, I might maybe want to get two, one for today, then one for tomorrow. Um, but I don't know. It just seems really weird that I've started noticing that where people will have four or five drink, and you'll know it's for them because there's nobody with them, and you do care about looks. The reason you were unsuccessful with the opposite gender is because you've always cared about looks. You've only ever wanted to have women that were supermodels that you dated. We have caught you, Akatsuki merchant. Mwahaha. So you've been exposed. With some nice shoes on that lady. You've been found out. I'm telling you, nothing was as awful as that couple I saw last Saturday, where the damn guy and the woman. I mean, and my thing is like, I understand couples hold hands, they kiss, whatever. I get it. Like, I'm not a kid, but with a lot of people, you'll notice that they tend to do it when they're home or in some other non-public setting. And I do think a lot of the ones that do it in public are just trying, like they're trying to convince, they're doing that more to impress the people around them than actual physical intimacy. Like I almost, and I don't ever put up people on purpose. Sometimes people walk in the camera, or whatever. But like, I wish you could have seen it. They were all hugged up on each other and smiling at each other and looking intently into each other's eyes and just like get out of here with that crap, like I don't care what anyone says. I'll never believe two people are so damn in love to where when they go in front of a coffee place, they just can't help but to keep their hands on each other and look intently and speak in such a glowing, charmed manner. Man, get out of my face. But you get what I'm saying, that like there's a lot of places where you can have, intimacy with a partner, and it doesn't have to be in front of Starbucks. Like it doesn't have to be in front of a coffee place or some other bunch of random people. And that's why I said it felt fake to me, that like they're just, it's too much. It's like over the top. I love my partner. I want everybody to know. I'm just like, shut up. God. You think I'm kidding? When you see something like that, just remember, just ask yourself, do you really believe that these people who are going out of their way to make it to where you can see them being so in love, do you really believe they do that when they're just at home and together with no one around? Also, it's pretty gross to do that to your partner in public just to get recognition from strangers. It was so obnoxious, man. Like all hugged up on each other, little noses touching, and the whole time they're doing this, I'm like, get a room, like, and look, again, the problem is if you say anything directly to them, you're considered rude. And the other problem is that if I say something with the background I have, people will say I'm like, oh, jealous or whatever. But my thing is, I just think some stuff doesn't need to be in public as far as interactions between people. Like if two people are home alone or even like in a room by themselves and they're all hugged up and doing that stuff, whatever, nobody knows about it, nobody sees it, nobody cares. But when you're in front of a damn coffee place doing that and staring into the other person's eyes and laughing at all their probably not funny whatsoever jokes, I just roll my eyes. But yeah, that's why they do it. They want you to look. These must be some really poor people. They can't afford a room to go and do their nasty crap in. They can't afford a room to go and play with each other in. Really? So a Kotsky merchant. Anytime you go somewhere and you see some couple going out, and like my thing is, I like people hold hands. They're talking to each other, whatever. But like getting all up close on the other person and holding them and caressing them and smiling like you don't have any other emotion whatsoever. That's the kind of stuff that I just find really obnoxious because it's all for display. It's not none of it's real. I don't care what anybody says. That's very annoying. Like people need to get a life and get somewhere just to do this weird stuff in that's not in front of a bunch of people that they don't even know. I told you, man. Some of the people I've seen at these places are so weird, and it's not even about oh, someone does something you don't like. I can't imagine being in a relationship with a woman I apparently like or love or whatever. And and instead of just being content with the fact I'm with this person, I care about them, I have to hug all up on them and make out with them in front of the world. Like, Jesus Christ. I know we're in the era of anything goes, but I don't know. And again, you'll never see me talk about the way people look. I don't, that's not my style, but at the very least, have some kind of decency as far as like, public displays of affection or not. They're just not something I would expect when I go to a coffee place. I would think that would be the last thing you would see there, but I guess not. People are so weird, man. I tell you, just the way they act and the things they do. A lot of these relationships just feel fake nowadays. Oh, they're absolutely fake. I mean, like I said, people who actually are in love with each other don't need to show you them making out or the guy grabbing the woman's butt in public. It's none of that would even be a necessary thing. They would just do it in the privacy of their own home. Or, like I've seen couples in real life that don't have to do all this ridiculous over dramatic public stuff to be together. So yeah, a lot of it is fake. A lot of it is trying to make somebody jealous or feel like they don't have something, but it's none of it's not real. It's just BS anyway. They can go there with that. These relationships are about as real as a degree from Trump University. I still can't believe that was an actual school that he tried to make. Hmm. I was actually thinking of uploading some DVD mobile videos again, but what ended up happening is they actually had a massive graphics upgrade to make the mobile game look like the console one or the PC one. And at first, I logged in like, "Oh, cool, this is nice." But then I realized that they got rid of multiple characters in addition to updating the graphics. So, like for example, um, they got rid of the Silent Hill chapter, so there's no more Pyramid Head, there's no more Cheryl, and Cheryl was one of the main three I would play as. So that's already frustrating for me because like I don't even really play as that many of the survivors, and you got rid of one of the ones I really liked for no damn reason other than I really don't know what the reason could possibly have been because they already had the killer that she's in the same chapter with uh playable before, and I guess since they got rid of him they also had to get rid of her. I don't know, it's weird, but it pissed me off because it's like I now I have to go and buy all this stuff again or wait for you because about a year or two ago they got rid of the what's that show called? The Stranger Things DLC was like called back over, like they lost the rights to it. So what this means is that if I were to pick up the console or PC version of DBD today, and I wanted, let's say, to play the game, I'll find some people who have Demogorgon, but you can't actually buy him anymore. And I got him before the thing went out, like before the chapter was recalled on mobile. And now, thanks to their stupid graphical update, I can't even use him anymore. So I mean, it pisses me off a lot. I don't know how they get away with stuff like that, but they do. Like I said, if they just updated the graphics and had the game off for a month or two while they put all the characters back in, I wouldn't even be complaining. But that's really nuts that you like characters you bought, you can't use anymore because they updated the game and got rid of them. And there's no refund, there's nothing. Just oh well, too bad. Tough crap. I don't mind seeing couples hold hands or kiss each other at the lips or just holding each other, but there's a point where PDA just turns into unnecessary displays of affection. Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I don't mind as far as I'm not going to say anything and I'm not going to try and confront them because it's not enough for me to care. I leave people alone. But I'm just saying that as someone who frequents this place, very seldom do you see people acting the way that they did, where they're all hugged up and touching on each other. And it's not even like they do it for maybe a minute, maybe a quick kiss here, hold your hand, something subtle, right? They will sit smack dab right in front of the goddamn window to get your order taken. Just, oh, how are you? Yeah. It's annoying. Like I said, people need to get a life. I'm just too annoyed with these people. But I hope you understand what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with affection, but there's a certain point where it gets to be it's less about actually doing something with the person you like and just trying to look good for other people. Because like I said, you wouldn't do it in public if you didn't want us to see it. I'll tell you, they really think we're crazy if we look at that and we're like, can you guys stop? Okay, we get it, you're in love and you want to be with this person so much and you know, terrific, but can you like not do that anymore? At least while you're here, maybe you can go some on some corner or something, not right in front of the building where people are trying to get a drink. No, that's too tough. I don't know. I just can't, like I said, I can't imagine being with someone and then have like feeling the need to show everybody. Because I even said before that if I was with someone, I wouldn't even that woman would not be in any video. Trust me on that one. We've seen enough of these. If they're not direct gold diggers, they're trying to like get famous off of the guy that they're with. Uh, and I'm not playing into that. But I was just saying that I just couldn't imagine being in a relationship and then feeling as if I need people to see this and watch me hold this person. Just I don't think it's necessary. That's why I said I can't understand the logic. But you know what it all the other part of it is a lot of people feel emboldened when they do something with someone else. So for example, if this guy just goes to the coffee place by himself without the woman, he's probably, he's just gonna get his coffee, whatever, leave. But it's like, oh, the woman's here and she wants to hold each other. So let's do it in front of all these strangers. Yeah. And then that ends up happening. But you get the idea that this is not about punishing people for being in love. It's just weird stuff that they do that we find we find questionable simply because it's in front of us and it's something that they can keep to themselves if it really means that much to them. This line, when I came, it was so long, and now it's getting shorter. If I didn't have the computer like right on top of the steering wheel, I might be tempted to actually stream while I order something. Like I'm driving and the computer's right, but I don't have anything to like mount it on, so I'll wait until I finish and we'll see how long the line is by then to make an option on that. I'll never not be amazed by how much traffic there is in this damn state. Like it doesn't matter what hour you drive either, because I drove one time at 3 in the morning and there were still like multiple cars out. And I explained this one person I felt really comfortable driving at that time because the roads were not as busy. Anytime you drive at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, you're not going to have anywhere near the amount of traffic or people trying to like get mad or argue with you or I'm talking about. It's just there's not as many people around, so there's a lesser. You can logically feel like there's a lesser chance that something bad will happen. And this Wi-Fi, I'll never be a true fan of Starbucks because I'm not into coffee anywhere near as much as a lot of other people are. But I'll always appreciate this Wi-Fi. It made streaming a lot easier in this era. But yeah, man, it is unnecessary. They don't have to do this stuff in front of you. And I guess I'm always reminded of like earlier experiences in life, and like I remember being in like ninth and 10th grade, like high school, and I remember seeing a few couples, and they would go off and sit together and or hold hands or whatever, and it was like everywhere I went, you can always see them a mile away because they'll be separated from everyone else, and they'll just be like giggling and smiling at each other and all hugged up or whatever. So that's why I said a lot of it feels, I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy, but like I guess that was at least not as frustrating as what I saw on Saturday because they're off to themselves. They're not really in front of you unless you go up in front of them by happenstance or just are like trying to mess with them. Uh, that couple that I saw Saturday, it was like they were obsessed with each other. Like I really hope that people don't do that normally, where they just go in front, and that's why it stood out so much because I had never seen that in the time since I've been coming up here, which has been for the last few months, every like once or twice a week. So that was weird. Um, that's pretty much it. I know when Akatsuki merchant saw that couple, he was like, "What are they doing?" And I do I have any outstanding mail? I think I have one thing coming from the Carter Library. They had some mugs that that were like out of stock for at least for the last 2 months, and certainly were not there when I went there in person back in March. And on their website, they said that they were now in stock, and I was like, "Oh, cool! Now I can you know, get one of them." So I ordered two because I'm like, "All right, if something happens to one, I have another one, whatever." And then they call me and they're like, "Hi, so we saw that you placed an order for this, but we have it, but we don't have it in the color that you want." I'm like, "All right, well, two of the five colors are out of stock. I don't know how that happens, but I sorry, give me the other one then." I'll probably directly call them and ask, if they have that. But I don't know. I just think that's weird. Like, you would think if you have a product and it comes in five different colors and you get them in stock, wouldn't you be getting them in stock of each color? I wish the website would tell you that too, and say, "Hey, is this color in stock? You guys have this?" So I'll probably call them maybe later today, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. So, Akatsuki merchant, is it true that the reason you're not typing as much today is because you're currently calling people to spread the message of the re-elect the president committee? The Biden 2024 campaign is reaching out to you, and you have in turn reached out to others. Is that the reason you've been so silent? So yeah, now we know the answer. If I don't see any more comments from Akatsuki merchant for the rest of the stream, I know what he's really doing. He said, "No, I don't even like Biden." I'm very surprised. I thought he was your favorite 2020 presidential candidate and your favorite VP. I thought you made a rap album where you called him Delaware's greatest. He may have become president the latest, but he's Delaware's greatest. Somebody was asking me about my favorite vice presidents. I said that's actually a kind of a tough one. Um, I'd say Mondale would be in there because a lot of what he did is what initiated that role being more powerful than it used to be. Um, and Bush 41 was very competent as VP, but Harris has been kind of like whatever, hasn't really done anything I can think of. Although not to say that she didn't get dealt a bad hand of cards because Biden told her to tackle the immigration issue, and I don't know how you expect the VP to do that, but whatever. Uh, so she wasn't very good. Biden was a very significant partner for Obama when he was VP. So his presidency is whatever to me, but his tenure as VP was actually fairly important for for Obama's era. And we don't have to talk about Cheney. Cheney was one of the most important ones out of any of them, even though I think he's one of the worst because of his positions on issues. But still, speaking objectively here, and Gore was good. Quell was trash. Quell was literally just put there because the older Bush was pushing like almost, like mid 60s by the end of the first term, and they wanted to have some younger person to balance out the ticket. So I'd say that it if I had to pick a favorite, that still would be really hard. Probably either Gore or Mondale. I don't know. It's tough. It's just crazy thinking about a Democrat from Tennessee as president in the 21st century. Tennessee has been red for so damn long. Honestly, I think if he had just stayed senator, he probably would have lost re-election at some point because how red the state is. Because that same thing happened to Fritz Hollings. He was the junior senator from South Carolina under Thurman for 36 years, and then he finally became the senior senator, and he wanted to run for re-election, but he found from all the polling that he couldn't win in his own damn state. The state that had re-elected him several times over, they were like, nope. Oh, they love doing that type of stuff in public. I've always been fascinated by how in the South it's all been red, really since I've been alive, and then there's like these little pockets of blue. Like they have blue districts, and I still think that Georgia at this point leans more purple than just full on red. You've got a Republican governor who I think is trash, but they reelected him by a bigger margin when he came in. Um, but two Democratic senators, Congress members from both parties. I don't know what the deal with Georgia is. I really don't. Sometimes they make you proud, and sometimes they like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't know what their deal is. But I'll tell you one thing: they're definitely going to not be full on red from this point onward. I think between Biden narrowly winning that state and again the two Democratic senators, there's a case to be made that it could be finally swinging in the. I'm not going to say it's one of those like safe blue states. It's going to probably be like a swing state because there's still a lot of Republicans that live over there. It is the South after all, but I do think if there's any chance of a southern state turning blue or purple, it's either Georgia or Texas. I think Florida's just gone red at this point. They need to just abandon that one. Which I mean, if they're able to, if the Democrats are able to pick up Texas, then they don't need Florida. I would really like to see Texas return to its LBJ roots. But yeah, now we know the reason why Kotsky Merchant won't write anything because he's over there phone banking for Biden. So when I watched his campaign, his like announcement video for reelection, Nobody can tell me they didn't speed up his voice. He was talking way too coherent for me to believe that's just normal Joe. No, I don't buy that. They put that in the editor. They put that in iMovie and sped it up. There you can't tell me anything else. I refuse to believe any other claim. They put that thing right in there and had him going from talking at 1 minute. Was it 2 words per minute to 20? I don't like. I don't. Dude, this election cycle is so interesting because it's like the DNC and a lot of the elected politicians are so like I don't know what the word for it is. They're so entranced by the incumbents. How to explain this? So, like, the Republican side is afraid of Trump and losing support from his base, and even though he lost that last election, he still is very popular within the party itself. Whereas the Democrats, they have an incumbent president, but he's very elderly, and there are a lot of people who are not excited at the prospect of 4 more years of him. So a lot of people feel emboldened to run against an incumbent president, which is historically very difficult to do. And pretty much all of the elected ones are like, no, Biden, 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 Biden. And that really is disappointing to me because it's like, here's a guy who bragged about how he was not going to support single payer. Like spit in the face of progressives multiple times. He was running for president, and now he's running for reelection, and we're all supposed to just get behind him in support of stopping Trump. Man, I'm good. It actually would be kind of interesting to see Biden versus one of the other Republicans, like whether it's DeSantis or Haley or uh, Elder, who we already talked about how like only one of those three has a chance of winning, and it's definitely the one from Florida. But it would just be funny to see like the oldest president ever, literally, versus someone who, if they were elected, would be one of the younger ones. Well, I guess with Elder that's different, but even then, it's like he's still only like early 70s, so he's still like he's still like several years younger than either Trump or Biden. Kotsky Merchant, I wish you could have seen it when that guy came on my video and got so mad that I said Elder's campaign was dead on arrival. I'm like, dude, Republicans don't like minority candidates in presidential elections. They just don't. They'll elect some of them on a statewide level, but as far as a presidential one, no, we've seen this play out before. And sure enough, I looked at the polls. He's only at what, 1-2%. I mean, come on. I don't know how he's going to beat Trump. It'll be the most amazing thing ever. They act like you're bad for just making an honest assessment that someone who when they did run for office before lost, uh no record of winning, like, okay, and a lot of people don't know who they are anyway. It's like, yeah, I don't think they're going to win. I've never seen that before, where you lose a gubernatorial election and then you run for president. Like, I just think that's really backwards. I like how when he ran, it wasn't even like a straight up campaign. It was, oh, let me run so that when people recall the current governor, they can go with the extreme right wing. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a complete pendulum swing, because it's not like, oh, it's his name next to Newsom and then you pick one. It's like, no, you vote to get rid of Newsom, and then you vote for like this other person to replace them, but it still is not like directly who would you rather. It's like, how to explain it? It's done in a way that's more geared toward, are you pissed off enough with Newsom to want to replace him with this extremely right wing person, Or do you have problems with Newsom, but you'd rather have him over the other person? So it really was like the lesser of two evils, effectively. Oh man. Can't believe you would speak so disparagingly about your favorite Delaware hero. You don't like Biden, you love Biden. Dude, I still can't believe he won that primary. Like I have to keep reminding myself, oh yeah, he lost the first three states and then one in South Carolina, and then suddenly everything just went to hell in a handbasket. Like I still have to remind myself that that even happened. Because when I've never seen in a presidential primary a person lose the first three states and then end up winning the thing. I'd have to look through history to see if I can find something similar to that. Either somebody just starts winning from after the first one, or they just win the whole thing all the way through. You know, that was really nuts. The United States of clowns. Now I'm just imagining all these people have these big shoes and the red nose and the was it the rainbow color hair? Dude, I really am thinking about it. I don't know anyone else who lost the first three primaries, the first three states in the primary, and then they won anyway. That's really nuts. Oh, it's just really sad, man. I tell you. But yeah, this election was is definitely going to be one that's interesting. Like I said, I'm trying to get Williamson's name out there. I mentioned her to people I speak to, um, but it is hard to because sometimes when she makes an appearance on some other network or whatever, I have to go and download that after watching it and then stick it in the editor and play which part I like the most or cut out which piece I like the most, and it's just a more involved process than if I just get in front of the camera and talk about something she said or did. Um, but like I said, people, if enough of them come together, they can make somebody more well known. That's something I do believe in. Although, as I've said before, fame is a relative thing because there are people who are very, 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 very famous that people don't know. Like people who have some kind of specific number accolade you could say, and they'll be like, "Who's this?" This election, I feel like people are really going to go buck wild. Well, yeah, I mean, you surprised me with some of the stuff you were doing. I mean, first you were a Biden guy, a Biden boy, but then you went to the Republican side and you said that you're part of the Elder crew. You want Larry Elder to win the nomination. I think it was the LA Times that called him the blackface of white supremacy, and I was like, why the hell would they even put that as like the second I heard about that headline, I just rolled my eyes and put my hand over my face because you know what he's when they get criticized in those like those type of ways they can deflect from the actual substantive policy issues and play like they're being attacked and smeared. So it's kind of like when Don Lemon said that Nikki Haley was past her prime. It's like, why would you say that? It's a sad day when I don't even like these people and I have to like stand with them or admit that something is screwed up that's related to them. That's really sad. This one person, they have a, I don't even know what that is. It could be like a sweater top or jacket top, daishiki or something. I don't know, but it's got Kakashi on the back. I thought that was really cool. I was not expecting that. But yeah, this election has seen Akatsuki Merchant go buck wild. First, he started off as a Biden guy, then he had his transformation to a conservative, and now he's helping Elder. I'm actually kind of surprised at the field for this race, like the Republican side, especially because I thought it was going to be maybe three, four, five people. Um, but like, there's a lot of people that are running where I'm just thinking to myself, are you sure about this? Really? Like I gave Pompeo credit. I said, look, you're a Secretary of State who was very unremarkable, who was also unremarkable when you were a congressman. So there's really no lane for you. And sure enough, he stayed out of it, and I gave him his props for that because I think he would just been wasting everybody's time. But it's like you've got Trump obviously, and then the Vivek guy who was talking about raising the age to 20 something. Uh, then the former governor of Arkansas, Hutchinson or whatever his name is, Haley. Um, what's that other one? It's like five people, and then yeah, an elder. So you have five people right now, and it looks like you're probably going to end up getting Pence and DeSantis too. So it'll be seven, and then there's still a chance that somebody else might get in because they have other people that are like speculative. I still think it's funny that like I did a video about why his like explaining why his campaign will go his why Elder's president's campaign will go nowhere, and then the guy who defended him could only like insult me by talking about what I was wearing. It's like that's crazy. That's how you know their side has no defenses when they can only respond in ways like that. Jesus Christ. Mm. Oh, I realized whenever we do the full 2 hours, it's like around 12 o'clock. That's probably when people are out for lunch and they start coming to pick up the coffee. So I'm saying like, oh, the line's not long, but give it until 12, and it probably will be. I remember this one guy said that most blondes are fake blondes. I don't know where he got that statistic from, but I am noticing a thing where there's a lot of women who will have blonde hair, and then you can tell it's dyed because of their roots being dark. I thought that was interesting that they just so many different colors. So this woman walked up here. She had well, she has dark hair that she's dyed like the lower parts of blonde, I guess, where it's like both colors. So even though hers is technically blonde, it's not actually blonde. Like I said, people they have all kind of stuff I don't get. But they'll do what they want. I don't know why they want blonde so much. That's not even that appealing of a color. Um, I don't get it either. And you understand that on a certain races of people, it looks even more jarring because you know that they don't naturally have a color that way. But um, like I said, there's a lot of fashion related stuff that people do that I don't understand. Like I've seen people who have whole shoulders and backs filled with nothing but tattoos. I don't personally get the appeal of it, but if they want to, sit there and paw the ink in there, then they can do what they like. Um, but yeah, I think it's kind of sad because like I like, for me, um, hair colors never played into attraction. Like it's never really been a thing that's done one thing for me one way or the other. I'm kind of just whatever on most of it. But it is kind of weird when they keep switching it over and over and it's to some color that you can tell is not their own and like all of them are doing it. It's not even that appealing of a color. Well, what would you say is an appealing color? 'Cause I think my favorite is probably brown if I were picking one. Ugh. Yeah, if I were picking one, it'd probably be brown. Mm. And really, all the shades of brown are my favorite. Dark brown, light brown. Let me see. Chestnut brown and jet black. I tell you, my favorite thing is that everyone always mistook my hair for being black, and it was funny because like I've had to do different, where you're like in the sun and it kind of like lightens stuff up. That's where it's very obvious that it's brown, but um, everyone gets it wrong to where even on my license it says black. Jet black. Yeah, she's got some. I'm telling you, see some of these people walk, they look so miserable. Like she looks so just irritated. It's like, damn, you got your coffee. Why are you so angry? You got your coffee and whatever the hell else you were seeking out, just relax. It's that racial stereotyping. I mean, yeah, but the problem is it was done by a member of my family. Like they went up there with me and then they put black on there and then, the place believed them. So I don't know if I would call it that, but more so just people being ignorant, I guess. And they don't want to take your, like I told them that it was brown and they were like, oh no, it's black. So You know what it is? They think they know you better, you know yourself, so they won't believe you. Like I say, anytime the sun is out and it's shining on me, it's very obvious what color it is, and it's not black. But we'll let them believe what they like. It's just kind of sad that you have to like prove what color your hair is to somebody else. Like, you know what I mean? It's just that's how warped stuff has become. Where like you can't even be given the benefit of the doubt for like your own judgment of what's actually there with you. You know. Oh, this lady came and picked up her coffee. She has a tattoo on her arm. Oh, what it was? It looked like some rings. Interesting how there's so many people that just show up and they order something and pick it up and go. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's profiling because it was members of my own family that were the ones who thought it was a color that actually is not. If anyone was profiling me, it was probably a Kotsky merchant telling all those lies. I've never felt so stereotyped other than when I was in your presence. It is interesting watching this line, I tell you, just seeing all the different cars that come and the the just kind of like all the various bags people have. But yeah, I think today I might get something from here. I'm very confident I'll probably end up doing that because oh I just want to try something. You know, have a little bit of variety. That's one of the reasons why I took the Alabama Georgia trip because I just wanted to see somewhere else, some different people. You know, variety is a thing that we don't get that often over here, unfortunately. Something that doesn't show up too often. By the way, have you ever noticed that there's a lot of people who how to explain this? Um, so for example, when I was at the last place I was, they didn't have Apple TV, which meant that if I bought something from the iTunes store, I couldn't watch it on my television, which really pissed me off. Because I don't really like watching for hours on end stuff on a computer. Like that's just a pet peeve of mine. I'd rather watch it on, you know, like on the TV. Uh, so this person gets upset with me for playing stuff with curse words in it on YouTube. And I try to explain to them, well, hell, I mean, most of the movies and shows, I actually have two shows that I own like the full thing of, but most of the movies and shows I watch don't even have that much swearing in it. And the problem is, since my whole library is basically blocked from television or never playing on TV manually, I can't watch any of it, and am looking for something else to entertain me with, from like basically if they had Apple TV, the stuff I would actually like play and put on there would be for the most part, not having any profanity, if just a little bit. But because they're too cheap to just figure out how, or are unwilling to figure out how to stick Apple TV on there so I can actually watch the stuff I own, uh, then I look for entertainment on YouTube. I look for stuff I liked on there. It's just one of those things where it's like people always want to give you all these like rigid demands and requests, but then they don't want to be there for you when, they're like you're specifically doing something for this type of reason. They look at the cause instead at the effect instead of the cause. So the cause that they ignore was he doesn't have Apple TV, which doesn't let him look at his own library on any screen that's not a little tiny one like his computer. So the effect of that is, oh, he's going to go on YouTube and look up stuff that sometimes has profanity in it, but whether or not it does, it's entertaining to him. It's so lame that like they can't they can't reach that conclusion of, yeah, this person who is barred from watching their whole library or any of their library on a TV one is going to watch something else on the TV that may or may not have bad words in it. It's just stupid, man. Told you over there, it was always a problem. It's crazy. I only got Apple TV for like, that was in September at the other place, and I left at the start of January. So I only had Apple TV for about what, 4 or 3 months, 3 full months. And the worst part is the other part. Well, no, that's just gonna make them sound even crazier. But yeah, I do miss Apple TV. I miss being able to go on the television and play a show or a movie I like. Because I actually watched stuff on there. I had fun. Like I said, this whole thing is just sad to me. Anytime you want to have some fun, it's always too much. You want to watch a show? I don't want to have to pay for this on my TV. It's always that. And the worst part about it is that if you're not connected to the internet, the only way you can watch your stuff is if you download it manually, and that's even, that's not exactly a thing that is easy to do when you're talking about hundreds of episodes of a TV show. You know what I'm saying? It's not simple. I already said before on the iTunes store, they overprice stuff for no damn reason. Like if you want to buy, I'm not even joking. There's a 50 episode cartoon on there that's like $70. And I'm like, why would I buy that for $70 on iTunes when I can get that for when I can pay for a HBO Max subscription and watch it on there, for way less. Like I think the cost of a movie at most should be maybe $20, and even then, that still is kind of like, uh. But some of the stuff just costs too damn much. That's why I was explaining to my friend. I always make sure that whatever I get is something I'm going to watch multiple times because usually the amount that it costs to get it doesn't justify just seeing it once. If you want to just see something once, you can just rent it. That's actually like a running gag where I would go over people's houses and they have like a whole damn DVD case, like just loads and loads of DVDs. and then you never see them watching any of that stuff. It's just there for display. It's like, oh, look at these films I have. And I think that's really lame because, there's so much entertainment that exists in this world that people just never watch. They never get a crack at it. Sometimes they're too busy, but a lot of times they just don't care. And that's really sad. I guess I'm the crazy one for, wanting entertainment to actually be entertaining. I think that people should just have a whole bunch of DVDs that they don't even use. Dude, that reminds me of when I was at my that last house, not the one before this one, the one I left in January, and somebody bought the autobiography of Michelle Obama, Becoming, and I'm not joking. That little blue and white book sat in the front of the house for 3 years with no one ever having picked it up to read any of it. It just sat there staring at everyone week after week, month after month, year after year. It was so like, and I'm not joking when I say that I've never seen somebody before that buy a book and it just sits there and never gets read. And it's like, sometimes you get stuff in bulk, you don't get to all of it immediately. But I'm serious when I say that they went out of their way, whoever it was, to get this specific book and just never read it. I actually got the book earlier this year when I was going through and looking at some of the different memoirs of first ladies, and I read almost the whole thing. I got to like page 390 something, and I left from over the place I was and just haven't been back to go and pick it up. But uh I was like, wow, this is actually a pretty decent read. It's got brevity, it's not too long, and it's kind of sad that, like, all these people love this lady, but they can't even read her, the the book that she wrote. I just thought that was funny. It's like, oh yeah, we care so much about this person and what they did for the country and their legacy and all this other crap. Oh, they put out a memoir that's not really even that long that we can, get and see their firsthand account of what happened. Oh well, we'll get it, but we won't read it. Mm. Yeah, I'll never understand the logic of people, just the way they think about things and their rationale for the stuff that they do. Is this line starting to get longer? I see two cars creeping up. Another one's moving right now. I don't think it's that much longer. But yeah, I'm just tired of Akatsuki Merchant and his devilish ways. He's ignoring me, and he's over there phone banking for Biden and making sure that he gets his next term. He's like, I'm gonna make sure that my president gets reelected. I really wish I had covered Haley saying that she didn't think he was going to live to see the end of a second term. That's really morbid for a politician to say. Like, People on YouTube and these other sites, we make jokes or whatever, but like a former governor, former UN ambassador saying something like that, that's a whole other level of well, it's a nice jacket she has. That's a whole other level of just insanity. As far as like, wow, this person is really saying this. Yeah, I'm just for a second I thought that couple from before had come back, but it's not. Some people are like that. They go to the same place every day. So I wouldn't be surprised if I end up seeing them again. I hope not, but you know. Let me see. Is anybody else coming over there? I don't think so. What? Oh, the mailman's over here. UPS, USPS. It's crazy how much power you save just by not putting the screen on full brightness. Like, I'm not even joking. I've done 2 hour streams and they'll have the like most of the battery gone, and then this one's not even like half of it. Mm. Oh, they said there's some notifications. Every time I go on one of these sites, they always do the same thing. They're like, "There's a new message for you from this person." Then you go and see what it is, and it's like they're not even talking to or about you. They're talking about some random other thing that happened in their life that is ironically taking place in the same city as you, but for some reason they can never send you a message or see how you're doing or anything like that. I already said before, I feel like the point of relatives is supposed to be that they're this tight knit group who's related to you more directly than anybody else, and they should have the biggest level of concern for you. And I just don't feel as if that's been reflected by the current crop. This is a group of people who, if you don't do every single thing they want, they have no problem with making you homeless, locking you out of your house. I mean, they just don't care. So relatives have a specific purpose they're supposed to play out, and if they don't do it, then they can go to hell. Even with the ones that say they'll help you get a job, I mean, all that's amounted to is them sending me random applications for stuff, and then if you don't get hired by that place, they're just going to accuse you of not applying in the first place. Because again, everything is your fault. If you're male, you get blamed for everything. They just do this. It's really sad. This might be the shortest I've seen the line since I came. Yeah, but you know what cars, they can come in like 10 seconds. Where if it's like, oh, the line's short and then 5 cars come together, where they just show up all at the same time. Yeah, I should be able to finish that video probably. If not today, I don't think it's gonna be today because I got some other stuff to do. But between today and probably Wednesday, because I only have an interview scheduled for tomorrow, and I'll be able to pump it out. Like I said, some of this stuff would be easier to do if I were in environments where there's not people like making noise or someone's playing their loud TV or any of this other stuff. They play a big disservice in the pumping out of content. It's hard sometimes to do it depending on where you are. Oh man. I was gonna say I missed that person's washing machine, but it kept knocking all the buttons off my shirt, so I have to retract my praise. Like I said, they can't be accountable for anything. They throw out some food that's still good, and instead of them asking, "Hey, is this good or not?" They just throw it out, and then they're like, "I thought it was old." If their machine knocks off buttons on shirts that you've put in all types of different machines, that read that problem happened before. I think there's something wrong with the shirts. Everything is always. It's never their fault. They're to blame for nothing. The accountability is just it's not there. And like I said, the saddest part about these people is these are grown adults, and they their rationales and reasoning are childlike in a lot of cases. Yeah, these people are really nuts. Thought this guy was on his honeymoon. Now he's making videos again. I already said before that if I ever was on a honeymoon, there is no way in hell I'm gonna be like, all right, well, I'm not gonna make anything during this time. Instead, I'll have this random other person substitute for me. And that's annoying. They just have this noise going off, and they can't even be bothered to like come and pick their machine up and figure out what's going on. I hope that can't be heard, but you probably can hear it. It's very loud. It's like, hey, let's cause a public disturbance. Terrific. So loud. Thank God. Let's see here. Why it took them so long to just click a damn button, nobody knows. There's a lot of stuff that people can end if they just click a button and they falter on doing that. Let's see what time is it? 11:40. Do I want to go for the typical 2 hours? Well, we're almost there, but then it's like I don't know what happened to Akatsuki Merchant, and at a certain point, you do get kind of tired talking to yourself. So I'll probably just not do that. Yeah, yeah. These people just get involved with stuff. God, I just wish we could get this thing over with. Oh, I sometimes wish people would just mind their own business with certain stuff. I'll close out with this. I was actually just thinking about the situation that happened at the start of the month. And one of the things I keep trying to explain to uh, this relative who just still doesn't seem to get it is that when you're asked to pay 500 a month instead of the 100 you had before, uh, on top of other expenses, and you know that all these other expenses have to be paid for by you because nobody else is going to help you with this stuff. It is not easy to then reach in your pocket and go, oh yeah, here's half a thousand every month just to sleep in this little room or whatever. It's and I said that like they don't understand that when you're a driver, there's expenses with the car, there's expenses with food. I mean, it's like it never even occurs to them. It's so sad. But anyways, I'm gonna get off of here and try to get in this line and get something. So see you. Thanks for showing up, Akatsuki Merchant.